On today's show, we're going to talk about the Cavs 3-game winning streak. We're going to talk about Donovan Mitchell, and we're going to look ahead to Cavs 76ers. Let's get into it on a new episode of Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
I'm Chris Manning. That is Evan Dammarell, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more, where right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. As always, we have Jake Stevens producing, currently still alive after eating a lot of chicken nuggets. But Evan, we're going to start today with the Cavs 3-game winning streak to you, as they've gotten above 500, gone on their first winning and only winning streak of the season. What to you has been how the Cavs have, amid injuries, amid whatever else is going on, how they've gotten 2-3 in a row over the last couple games?
So the first two wins in this winning streak were against a very bad Blazers and a very bad Pistons squads, respectively. But it's encouraging to see the Cavs just kind of take care of business against two not good teams. But I think, like, obviously the biggest win in this one, and maybe the catalyst for just saying, like, okay, there might be something here, is this win over the Nuggets, where the Cavs just kind of imposed their will against the defending champs. Sure, there's no Jamal Murray in this game, but you look at it and think, like, okay, this is kind of what I expected this team to be to start the season. Sure, there's no Donovan Mitchell, but there's a lot of just high-end two-way impact, whether it's just kind of cranking down on the opponents defensively, and then having so much extra spacing with the additional shooters you added this offseason, whether that is just attacking the basket or attacking downhill or just spraying back out to said shooters. The Cavs are looking like the identity isn't fully crystallized. I think it's different from last year, clearly. I think there's embers from last year, but this is fanning into a different type of fire at this point, and I'm interested to see what it looks like when they play Philly and then Miami. Like, I think Denver, Philly, and Miami are like a pretty good litmus test to kind of figure out, like, one, okay, is this turnaround or maybe this corner turning, as you and I have discussed a few episodes now, like actually happening, or is it still kind of in its neo phase? Like, it's trying to crawl before it's trying to run before it can actually crawl and maybe walk yet. So interested to see where it's at. But, like, yeah, I'm seeing like flashes of the team I kind of expected this Cavs team to be when they start hitting on all cylinders.
The last 2 weeks as a whole, if you look at the numbers, have been a lot better. They're for the year, and so, like, for the year now, the Cavs are 14th in point differential, they're 16th in offense, and they're back up to 10th in defense. So, like, they have normalized in a way when they were 23rd in that rating. Like, things have gotten better in a hurry. It's still very early that can happen. The last 2 weeks, they are 8th in point differential, they are 10th in offense, they are 8th in defense. The only teams better than them over the last 2 weeks: Minnesota, Milwaukee, Philly, Boston, New York, Houston, and Oklahoma City. Those are the teams better than them over the last couple weeks. They've been really good if you just look at the numbers the last 2 weeks. And people can look at, I think, the last 3 games and say, okay, there's one good team out of those 3. You also just have to play who's in front of you, and the Cavs are injured. And, like, I think for me, the through line amid all of this, what has gotten things to work a little bit better, what has gotten things to work, is that they are, I think, just figuring out what they need to do. They're being more direct. They're being tact. They're getting things to just to have some cohesion, even if guys are still coming in and out. And right now, that's been enough. There is still, I think, room to grow. There's still a lot of stuff to go. And once the team gets healthy, I think I want to see what this team gets to. But right now, Evan, I think the last couple weeks, and particularly these last 3 games, have been something a little bit more normal. And they're doing enough to kind of navigate the stretch. And sometimes you have to do that. It's an 82-game season. You're not always going to come on hot like they did last year. You have to kind of go through, I think, phases like this at times.
So will you be buying the entire team multicolored shag carpet hoodies that say "We are Knuff" on it?
No, the two-way guys make more money than I do in a given year. They could buy their own Ken enough hoodies. Also, over under 3.5 calves who've seen the Barbie movie. I think I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'm taking the under on that as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. I had to think about it because I'm like, maybe like Strus could be like that wild card who seems like a, you know what, just gonna chill and like go see a movie kind of thing because he's a Midwest boy. But
well, did you also see that a musician I quite like, Noah Khan, after Max Strus had the 2 back-to-back posters, posted a video from over the summer where they were at a run or something together at a Ben and Jerry's event and posted this clip of Max Strus like bodying Noah Khan in like a Ben and Jerry's like pickup game, and I was like, I love the internet sometimes. Oftentimes it's awful, but when I get my two little worlds coming together, which is folk, sad boy folk music and basketball, I kind of love it. But
it's fun when you find that overlap. But go ahead.
Here's the other thing. The last 3 games, Dean Wade has stepped in and started. I think Dean Wade has looked really good in those minutes. I think even if they are limited minutes and he's not always closing and things, you're in a situation where he has played, I think, good defense and he's doing enough. Mm-hmm. He is Dean enough, as one might say. I think that has been a part of this, is that they've been able to go to Dean Wade and get something out of him, even if it's obviously not going to be the long-term answer for their starting 5.
No, it's not. I think when it comes to Dean Wade or even George Niang, who's looked obviously not great defensively, there was a moment against Denver where he drove to the basket and then somehow drew enough contact from either Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr. to get to the free throw line. But like, you don't really want him doing too much on offense. And I still think he's trying to find himself within this system just because he is getting more consistent minutes maybe than he did at times with Philly last year. But more importantly, just like he looks more comfortable. Wade looks more comfortable. I think Wade just being more comfortable is a big thing because he has more of a two-way impact than Niang can give you. But like, Strus has a hand in glove fit with this team. Okoro looked really sharp before he went down with injury, so we'll see how he looks when he does eventually come back to the floor. But like, I think of it this way: those are 4 role players I mentioned, with Strus being like the highest end of all of them. But like, if they're comfortable and their shots are falling, it's just easier to kind of plug and play your options with your bench. And because you need these guys to provide you shooting in order to be effective on the floor, just because like, they can give you some defensive stuff, like shooting is like their premium commodity, or like in Okoro's case, like he's comfortable enough making the wide open looks he's given from opposing defenses. Like, that just makes life easier for this Cavs team. And I think it makes life easier for JB Bickerstaff, where he's not like just throwing stuff at a wall and hope it sticks. So then like, I'm saying obviously it's the regular season, huge difference between this and the postseason, but you just harken back to last year and how the season ended and how the Cavs had virtually no depth across the spectrum. Having guys that are able to provide you shooting in like upside and limited minutes, no matter what they give you, like, that's a good thing. And I think just them kind of building that chemistry and rapport is a bit of the silver lining that comes with them being so banged up at the top.
Yeah, and like with Dean, I think with Niang and Wade, it's like you're getting different things. Niang is giving you an offensive jolt that you need. He's making some shots now, which he wasn't doing at the start of the year. He's moving well off of cuts. Dean Wade, he had 0 points in 33 minutes against Portland. He had 3 points against Denver, and then he only had 6 against Denver. He's not coming in and scoring a bunch. He made 2 threes. He's made 3 threes over 3 games, and all 3 of them are the last 2 games. He's not giving you a ton of usage. His usage rate, for instance, against Detroit was 1.1%. He's barely touching the ball, but he's giving you defense. He's rebounding a little bit. He's additive. And I think that's where Strus comes into. Strus has been so additive for this team in a way that has been vital, I think, for them. So is this perfect? No. When we get to the Philly game, we're going to talk about how Mitchell's out and Okoro's out and LeVert is questionable and Ty Jerome still isn't back. And like, this team isn't healthy. This team is giving Sam Merrill minutes and giving Craig Porter Jr. as good as he's been. That I don't think they plan to give him minutes at this point in his career. He has said as much.
Neither did Craig Porter Jr. He did not expect to be having career nights 12, 13 games into the season. Cavs, no less.
This is all navigating very choppy waters, but they're doing enough, and sometimes that's what you have to do. All right, coming up next, let's look at Donovan Mitchell's season so far. He is having a really good season, and I think we should just hit on the fact that guy is really good at basketball. Coming up after this. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with America's #1 sportsbook. That is FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. They have NBA bets if that's more of your jam as well. So remember, that's FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. All right, we're back. Donovan Mitchell, Evan, dunks and threes, one of the very many good NBA sites you can get data from.
Also something Donovan Mitchell's good at.
He's good at both of them. They had their first update of the season for expected plus minus. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that EPM is a perfect, that's just your top 10 guys. That is how you should view it. It's not, I don't think it's right to view catch-all numbers like this as just like pure, that's been the best guy this year, all of that stuff. But I'm gonna read it for the listeners, and I'm gonna throw it up on YouTube for our viewers. So here is the top 10 in EPM according to our friends at Dunks and Threes. Number 1, Jokic, Embiid, SGA, Curry, LeBron, Scotty Barnes, who has been awesome, Halliburton, who's been awesome, Mitchell, right there, been incredible, Chet Holmgren, De'Aaron Fox. That's your top 10. Tyrese Maxey is at 11 for those curious about who's just right off the edge. Mitchell, Evan, has just been, I think even with the injuries, I think even with the Cavs' middling start, has been, again, really, really good. Particularly, this is a bona fide, just top 10 offensive player. And as much as there's other things to worry about with him, and I don't really want to go there, I think that there's enough of that and weird things being written about him and whatever. Like, this guy is still really good, and he's in his prime.
So you're saying it's okay that he dances on the sidelines and says hey to Myles Garrett with a pulled hamstring?
Yeah.
As an aside, whether it's written or people who are, I would assume, grown men with athletes as their profile pictures or a Browns logo as their profile picture, people are happy when they're unhappiest. It feels like just kind of enjoy what you have in front of you right now. And also, I will say this a million times over. I'm not a professional athlete. No one in my mentions, unless like Larry Nance Jr. is creeping every now and then, is a professional athlete in my mentions. But, and this is back when he was with the team, of course. But I would highly tell everyone, like, one, hamstring injuries are super tricky. There is no set timeline on when they recover. It's more or less just how are you feeling physically? Because if you re-aggravate it, like, you can tear it. And that's a season-ending thing, a career-altering thing. And the Cavs looking at the long term instead of this game-by-game basis, which I think is the right call. They've always been like this, but I think it's really dumb when teams rush players back to win a regular season game when a random game in Philly may not have an impact on the grand spectrum of the season. It could, but I think you'd rather have Mitchell healthy. But long story short, if you've never experienced a pulled hammy in any way, shape, or form, they're not fun, or a sprained or strained hammy in the same capacity too. Like, I just don't think any normal person could like have that injury, then suit up and play 35 plus minutes of like NBA level basketball. Like, it's just, you're physically not going to be able to do it. So just kind of pump the brakes and enjoy what's happening in front of you. Like I said,
you look at his numbers this year versus last year, his percentage with Garland missing some time is up. He still isn't, a massive assist usage guy. He's not a massive creator for others, but it's really good. He's up at 74% at the rim, which is an outrageous number for a guard. It has insulated him from it's insulated him from a little drop in the short. Maybe at 35% in the 4 to 14 foot range, this year, and he's at 40% from 3 on really high volume. Like, so many things about Mitchell, Evan. I think, is when we watch him, when we see what he's doing, when we see what this guy is all about, I am just highly, highly impressed with him. And I think if you're the Cavs and, there's a lot of pressure and he's 27 and like what is going to happen with him in the future is a whole thing. That's again, I'd not really want to go with this, but it's like, I think in the moment, I think we just got to like remember that we got to look at this guy, even if there are some flaws, some limitations, whatever. And he's not like maybe the perfect number one to be the best guy to championship team or something like that. And I think that would be a fair critique of him. This guy's really good, and he had the best season of his career last year, and he's having a very similar season this year that should not be lost, I think, on us when we're talking about him, on the fans when they're watching him. Like, this guy is straight up bona fide. This is one of the best players in the league, and to watch him and to see him still doing it, we shouldn't take that for.
No, we should not take it for granted, or granted, rather. Just because there's a lot of questions about what Donovan Mitchell could or could not be for this Cavs team, especially when they needed him to most. And I think having the numbers to back it up, especially because dunks and threes, like you said, one of the better NBA sites, just because, like, in terms of data and metrics and things, just because it removes entirely all garbage minutes and garbage time on the floor, just to kind of like give you a full spectrum and understanding of like, okay, what was this player's impact when they were on the floor, regardless of the outcome of the game, just because that can be skewed quite a bit. But yeah, it's just, he's been phenomenal. I'm still interested to see how he kind of fits. I would assume he's the number one. Maybe he seeds and becomes the number two to Darius Garland, because Garland has been on quite a tear when Mitchell has been sidelined lately. But that'll be an interesting dynamic to see evolve. But I think those two having familiarity in a full year, and also just like spending time together off the court this offseason as well, just kind of work on their craft and hone it together, like, it's encouraging. And I think I'm just fascinated to see how he fits in this like ideal version of what this Cavs team could be. And like we talked about identity in the first segment, like when that identity finally like crystallizes and fully forms for the Cavs. And I think it's just going to be a lot of good things, because he has been staggeringly complementary to how the Cavs play. And he really is like the ideal backcourt partner for Darius Garland, because one, obviously alleviates a ton of the defensive pressure Garland to deal with on a nightly basis by himself. But two, like, is also just one of the best players in the league, and also one of the best players at his position overall. Like, I again, like, just enjoy what you have in front of you. The Cavs cashed in on a star that I would say is a superstar, maybe is like a little divisive just based on recent outings in the postseason. And I think that's valid, and we have to see what he gives us, or the Cavs as well, come next postseason. But yeah, like for now, like, as good as advertised and as expected, like, still has the ability just to completely put the team on his back and will the Cavs to victory like he did last season. And maybe now with these added weapons, he can still kind of have those moments, but it's not as much of a necessity or an expectation every night.
You look at most of the efficiency numbers, this is a very similar year to last year. And for him to do that, again, it's going to put him in the All-NBA discussion. It's going to make him an All-Star, and we'll see where it ends up. The playoffs certainly have to go better for this season to feel different, but this guy's really good, so don't forget that. All right, last segment today, we're going to look ahead to Cavs Sixers. Mitchell won't be playing in that, but can the Cavs still win? Let's talk about it up next. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, and PrizePicks is the largest DFS platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It is just you versus the numbers. You don't have to battle thousands of other players. You just pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch those winnings roll in. And if you want to play against some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill or comedian Andrew Schultz, you can now do that. They have a community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the PrizePicks community each week. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy, so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com, code LockedOnNBA, and you get a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Evan, I have it listed in the doc. I'm going to look up the line for Cavs 76 real quick, but tell our listeners, tell our viewers the injury report we have for Tuesday night's Cavs 76ers game.
I don't even need to look at the doc, just because it's the same.
It's the same one.
It's the same one from the other night against Denver. So spoiler to ruin it for you guys, but Ty Jerome is out and has been out since the Cavs played the Thunder in their home opener, like that many games ago. I believe his 11th or 12th straight game missed for the Cavs. Ricky Rubio is obviously away as he prioritizes and focuses on his mental well-being and just evaluates what his next steps are in his career. So He's listed, of course. Isaac Okoro is now missing his ninth straight game with a troublesome knee injury. And when JP Bickerstaff was asked about it, he said there was no update and said like he's improving day by day and like they will just kind of keep an eye on and keep tabs on it. So I'd say he's day by day. I think Donovan Mitchell, you could say, is day by day as well because he re-aggravated a hamstring injury that was bothering him after the Cavs had to deal with the Magic to open the season at home after they played the Thunder the night before, and he cramped up in both hamstrings, and then like he was dealing with those issues. He's now missed 4 games because of this, second in a row. And then Karis LeVert is questionable with a, I believe, knee injury. But either way, like he'll probably be a game time decision and also probably day to day as well, just because the Cavs are dealing with aches and pains and bumps and bruises. And when it rains, it pours. The Cavs got hit really hard to start the season. And I think that's the frustrating aspect of this early return for the Cavs is like they just can't stay fully healthy in order to give us like a full idea of what they can be. But like when it comes to like Jerome, there's silver linings. Like Craig Porter Jr. has emerged and is like firmly cemented himself, I think, as like that dude who is going to be in the rotation when this team is fully healthy and is a backup point guard unlike Jerome. LeVert sucks just because like that's a lack of a scoring punch if he can't play. Mitchell definitely stinks because there's a lack of a scoring punch and he and just like that's hard too. And then like on the Sixers side of things, like it isn't like the Nuggets where the Nuggets are missing Jamal Murray, one of the best point guards in the league and Denver's second best player. Yeah, like the Sixers don't have to deal with the James Harden fiasco anymore, but they still have Tyrese Maxey, who's otherworldly. And the only like notable player other than like their 2-way guys being on assignment is Kelly Oubre is dealing with a broken rib and an undisclosed leg and hip injury, I believe, after the possible hit and run. I don't know. I know it's like kind of murky what the full explanation and story is, but yeah, like that's the only noteworthy player that's missing for Philly. So Philly's more or less at full strength, and the Cavs are not as they head into a very hostile environment in first game of a back-to-back and also a NBA Cup game as well.
So TLDR, a ton of injuries, and I think Evan, particularly for this game, the Isaac Okoro injury is a big deal. I think the Mitchell one is obviously the biggest one, and getting Karis LeVert back would be really good for this team.
Mm-hmm.
To just get a ball handler and score on the floor. But Okoro defending the point of attack against Tyrese Maxey, who's been unbelievable this year and has put up a 50-burger and really stepped up with Harden gone. Like they don't have, we've kind of seen if there's a weakness right now, they don't have a great point of attack guy. There's going to be what kind of stuff they do and looks they throw at Maxey to try to contain him. That's going to be fascinating to me. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I think they're lacking a really clear answer for that right now for this one game. But that to me is the matchup to watch is what does that look like? No Okoro, them defending Maxey. The Embiid thing obviously is always going to matter. But like we kind of have an idea that Mobley's going to help off and they're going to double him in the post and Allen's going to have to match his minutes and you'll probably see Tristan Thompson play as well. I don't really know what the answer is for them defending Maxey in this game.
Yeah, that's the tricky part because no Okoro definitely hurts because against Denver, it was a little, I don't want to say easier because Jokic almost had a triple-double despite being in foul trouble the whole night, but like it's easier to contain if you're able to like battle the head of the snake, but like when Maxey's just this good for Philly to start the season and, you know, shouts to friend of the program, Jordan Christmas, for really being the guy who was beating the Maxey drum where I said, it was like, oh, maybe he's like a Malcolm Brogdon in Milwaukee type situation where he benefited playing next to Chris and Giannis and Maxey was in the same boat where he benefited playing next to Harden and Embiid. But so for the Cavs, like you said, like they don't really have a point of attack defender. Like I think you're going to see Evan Mobley spending some time out there. You may see Max Strus defending him to open the game. You may see Dean Wade getting some burn too. And like, the Cavs are going to try and have to cobble something together to contain Maxey and then also deal with Joel Embiid, who could easily win MVP again this season just because he is really good. And I think other than Boston, Philly's one of the best teams in basketball right now. And like, it's going to be a real gut check test for the Cavs, especially when they're down so many bodies.
Cavs, according to our friends at FanDuel, are 7.5-point underdogs against Philly, not surprising, and they are plus 265 to win outright. Philly is a minus 330 favorite. The over-under is at 220.5, total points. Tough game, Evan, and the last thing we should say about it is this is a game Cleveland, if they want any slight NBA Cup hopes here, they have to win this game. This is a must-win as far as the tournament goes.
And it's tricky because you have to be mindful of the fact that Miami is in town the following night too, and like there may be the emotional hangover of Kevin Love's first game back in Miami. I think Max Strus is gonna
about that. I didn't even think because I'm not. You and I are both for reasons not going to that game, and now I'm like kind of mad that I'm not. Well, but like I don't know. Like now I'm like a little bit perturbed because like that's going to be a vibe. I don't know.
It definitely is. Well, there's not going to be like any shooter or anything, so there's going to be. I don't know.
But the tribute video.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Now I'm like debating. Do I abandon a family member to go over there for an hour or two? I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. I cannot. Definitely.
You have something like a little more serious. I don't. It's not like it's like anything bad, but like yours is more pressing. Mine is like
pressing is the better word. Serious like makes it seem like my wife's having surgery and she needs somebody just to be kind of available for like 48 hours after the fact. She's having surgery tomorrow morning, so I have to just be on hand and available in the event she needs anything because she's kind of be laid up for a little bit. So yeah, it's tricky because they play the Heat and then they have a few days off. Thanksgiving, obviously, and then Friday they're off, but then they play the Lakers and LeBron's back in town. It's a little bit of like a reunion tour for the 2016 Cavs. So I would let's just leave it at this before we talk after the Philly game tomorrow night. The Kevin Love tribute video, how long will it be? And do they play it during the opening moments or do they wait for the first timeout?
I am pro playing it right away.
I am too. Like as you introduce the Heat, like you give him like the traditional like Ahmad Crump like introduces him like he's still a part of the Cavs kind of thing because they've done that in the past and other teams have done that too. And then they like just play the video and then like maybe condense their intros a bit, or like they can't rush the anthem, of course, but like they condense their intro a bit just to like give that space to Kevin Love instead.
The Kevin Love Tristan Thompson photos are also going to be a vibe. They're like every time you get a member of that era of the Cavs reuniting, like do you remember the Clarkson Kevin Love reunited photos?
Oh yeah, I mean,
just dudes
I
being
think any
dudes.
of the Kevin Love reunited photos are going to be special. Like
when LeBron dunked on him.
Yeah, and then LeBron said, "Please let me still be invited to the wedding," which he was. But more than that, I think for those who are either like bitter with how the things with Kevin Love ended, and I know we're completely diverting from the Philly game itself, but there's not much to say other than the Cavs are beat up. This is going to be a tough game, and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid are very hard to contain. But I don't know. I like Kevin Love did play a factor, at least according to Max Strus, in recruiting Max Strus to Cleveland, and I will say this, the Cavs doing right by a franchise legend may have paid off in spades because it gave them their most meaningful and impactful player to start the season.
Yes. All right. We will be back after Cavs Sixers, giving you a full recap. That'll be Game Awards, big takeaway, and we'll look ahead to Cavs Heat on Wednesday as well. I'm Chris Manning. That is Evan Dammarell. Have a great Tuesday, everyone, and back at you with more